Desertification is not just a regional issue, it's an issue that affects us all for millions who live on the edge of the world desert. The effect of global warming means survival is becoming increasingly difficult. Although the effects of climate change on environments such as these may not be as well known, they are becoming increasingly clear. To help bring awareness to how global warming is affecting our desert, Extreme has enlisted the help of Oxford University professor of climate science, Richard Washington. We hear a lot about ice melts and sea level rise and change to the rainforest. We hear very little about the desert themselves, but it's really at our own cost. Deserts are extraordinary, beautiful, fragile ecosystem that they are becoming hotter and they are becoming drier and they are becoming larger at the edge of the desert system of the world live. Hundreds of millions of people who eke out its existence in a delicate balance of short, brief region. If those systems are to change and becoming more desert-like, their productivity, their livelihoods are threatened. What happens in those deserts is that the plant life will die very quickly. The topsoil will be blown away by the wind. Hundreds of tons of the topsoil has blown away across the planet. We see, for instance, Sahara topsoil in the Caribbean, in the Amazon, in Florida, and that's an irreversible process because it takes thousands of years for topsoil to reform into barren desert. Every year, increasing number of people are being forced to abandon their homes due to our deserts expanding. Desert is not just a regional issue, an issue that affects us all. Egypt is a vast country spreading over a million square kilometers, but number can be deceiving. Only about 3% of country's landmass is actually habitable, where the rest of it is seemingly endless desert. If you take a look a satellite picture, you will see a thin green ribbon rippling through a vast expanse of Sahara sand. The river Nile is particularly the only one source of water for the country, which is why it's often called its lifeline. Its banks are home to almost the entire population of Egypt for thousands of years. The river has been a source of irrigation and transformed the dry areas around it into lush agricultural land. The bustling magma city of Cairo is considered by many to be the capital of Arab world for its population of over 20 million. The Nile is the only source of water, but the origin of this waterway are to be found beyond the Egypt's border. The headquarters of Nile are almost 7,000 kilometers south, where the source around Lake Victoria and the Ethiopian highlands feed the White and the Blue Nile. Around 60,000 of the river Nile's water originated here in the Simien mountain in Ethiopia. But Egypt's lifeline is under threat. The farmer living along its riverbank and struggling, where the Nile water used to flow unstably, thus irrigating local farmlands, the canals are slowly drying up. There's very little water for the Nile in winter. The situation is a bit better. But in the summer month, we don't get any water. As a result, Egypt government wants its farmers to use more efficient irrigation system and plant crops that need less water vega, but the river draining into non-existence is nothing new in the Nile region. go back in the time, 10,000 years ago, the panorama looked like this. Vast green grasslands, rivers and lakes, filled with water, life was blooming everywhere, was lush and rich. But over time, conditions become hotter and drier. Humans and animals had to wrestle living behind these cave paintings, portraying an old forgotten way of life. Meroe was the capital of the ancient kingdom of Kush. These small pyramids were the blueprints for the monumental tomb of the pharaohs. Once a vibrant trading hub for ivory and gold, around the 3rd century AD, the city of Meroe was lost in the sand of time. Around 1,500 kilometers the west in northern East Chad is an Anadia plateau. 10,000 years ago, this place had a subtropical climate with enough rain to sustain large lakes and the Yellow Nile, the third main tributary to the river Nile, which has now disappeared. What's left are the few subterranean caverns, filled with water like the famous coulee of Arche of water source for thousands of camels and the last resort for several animal species in the region, including the West American crocodile. Old cave painting, dry Vedas, and abundant ancient cities serve as a warning sign for modern Egyptian community, the fear that this pillar of life could crumble and whole society vanish is imprinted on the nation. Culture memory apart from the current water scarcity problem in Egypt. An additional geopolitical dispute has come into play in 2011. Ethiopia launched a $5 million project called the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. Jet, as it is called, is said to be the largest dam in Africa, putting an end to the decade of food, power and water shortage in Ethiopia. Additionally, the sale of surplus electricity to the other countries in the region could bring in $1 million a year in badly needed revenue. The project is fully supported by all its neighbors, but it's heating up fears in Egypt. GERD can only bring to achieve the benefits promised to Ethiopia by creating a vast reservoir holding back river water that could otherwise pass down the Nile. Egypt now fears that their farmlands could dry out even further. The source of life is becoming a source of conflict, to an extent that some leaders have even issued separating tweets. Many news and media platforms have even spread their concern of water war brewing over the Nile Dam resolution. Ethiopia could minimize the immediate downstream damage by lengthening the time it takes to fill the reservoir. Egypt, on the other hand, has to do its part investing in innovation, farming and irrigation methods which would help to reduce its demands for water. Like all major waterways, the river Nile is a delicate ecosystem that need to be protected by all countries around it. Thank you for watching.